Over the years, I've created dozens of different companies that have produced hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. I've been able to coach and mentor and train tens of thousands of entrepreneurs, and I've learned a few things. So today, I want to teach you the top 10 things that every entrepreneur should know. Number one, relationships matter most. One of my good friends, Garrett Gunderson, he's a best-selling author. He's done some amazing things, but he taught me a principle years ago about capital. He says, Bob, there's 3 different types of capital that I like to focus on. He says, now you certainly understand financial capital. And I said, well, absolutely. He said, but do you ever think about mental capital and relationship capital? Caused me to pause for just a little bit. He says, Bob, I found in my career that over the years that as long as I have good mental capital and I have relationship capital, it will always equate to financial capital. And I thought about my life as an entrepreneur and I thought, you know what, Garrett? You have absolutely nailed it for me. So if you want to build on your relationship capital, how do you do that? Well, the first thing is I would start making friends with individuals who are where you want to be. I would get into networking organizations. I would join different communities. I would start associating with a higher caliber individual. I would be making myself of value to those individuals, because here's what you got to remember. You can't just insert yourself. You've got to provide value and service so that they view you as someone they want to spend time with. So relationship capital is number one on the list. The next one, now this is number 2. Number 2 is this: listen more than you speak. Good Lord gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, right? So we could speak half as much and listen twice as much. There's a lot of folks that do not do that. And in the process, they don't get to know individuals, they don't get to know their situation, their circumstances, their problems, their challenges, and they don't then know how they could craft a solution that's going to be able to bring value to that person, and then value in exchange to themselves. So the benefit to active listening and being able to apply that to your sales is because now you're going to be looking for whatever challenges, situations, problems that your potential customer or your potential friend in a relationship may be dealing with right now. Because the best way that you could deepen that relationship is for you to provide value to whatever's going on in their life. So I would encourage you to then not only be an active listener, but make sure that you do it with an undertone of empathy at all times, because what people are attracted to is authenticity. And when you can get them talking about their favorite subject in the world, themselves, it's amazing to see how their love and admiration for you will continue to grow. If it's a sales relationship, I'm here to tell you that unless you are an active listener and really tuned in to what's going on with that potential client, you're never going to make the sale, because you're never going to understand their situation significantly enough for you to craft a solution that will solve the problem that they are currently dealing with and position you as the expert that they feel over time they do not want to live without. Number 3 is this: consistency beats talent. Now you might be thinking, oh, come on, man. I mean, I'll take talent over consistency anytime. No, consistency beats talent. And the reason why is this, is because if an individual is consistent and persistent in their activities, it's like a compounding effect that's going to not just 10x, but eventually 100x and 1000x their results. Why? Because that consistency over time is going to help them to get traction. That consistency over time then gives them a steady climb rather than the roller coaster effect, where individuals are climbing to the top and then all of a sudden they're taking a break and they're taking time off. We all know the story about the tortoise and the hare. Apply that to this principle with the importance of consistency. The other thing is this: consistency over time develops talent. That means that you're going to be able to improve and increase on your skill stack as time goes on. And you're going to create an awareness for others to get to know you and to understand what your niche is in the marketplace, so that you become the go-to person whenever they have a problem to be solved. So let's talk about number 4. Which plays right into that niche principle that I just talked about, and that is know your audience. Know your audience. You see, you can either be a focused specific, or you can be a wandering generality. If you're a wandering generality, that means you're floating from idea to idea, from project to project, from job to job, from business to business, from product to product, and you're never getting traction because of the simple fact that what you're doing is you're starting over. And if you get into a repetitive cycle of constantly starting over, it will destroy any opportunity that you have to really excel in business. So when you know your audience, you're able to laser focus on that group of individuals. There's an old concept called niches to riches. Define your niche define your audience, and then lean into that with everything that you've got, and pretty much remove from your peripheral view anything that might be a distraction and might defocus you from, again, speaking to that audience. Know your audience because you know your niche. All right, number five, the fortune is in the follow-up. Let me tell you what happens to a lot of individuals, especially entrepreneurs, is that they get distracted with the focus on the initial conversation. I mean, they're so good about lead generation, they want to work on that because they know that if they haven't got anybody to talk to, then no business can be realized. So a lot of times people will focus on, how do I generate leads? How do I make connections? How do I, start the conversation? Even moving forward into, all right, how do I demonstrate what I have is what they need? And being able to move forward with some sort of a sales presentation or discussion. But here's where so many people fall down, and I think it's because they have a fear of no's. They have a fear of failure. So they create in their own mind this concept, a construct that is, I'm really good at all of this, but I don't really want to do the follow-up, because in the follow-up, that's a potential for them to say no. And then if they say no, then I'm personally rejected. And instead of making a check marks in the win column, I've got to go over here and put one in the loss column. You've got to be able to understand the importance of no's, because the no's will lead you to the yeses. And with that, that's how success is realized. So embrace the follow-up. I use a simple little principle. We call it a BAM-FAM. A BAM-FAM. It's an acronym. It stands for always book a meeting from a meeting. Never get out of someone's, view without saying, you know what, that's fantastic. Does it make sense for us, to have another conversation so that I can explain what we can do to solve X, Y, and Z problem? I'm always looking to book a meeting from a meeting, but I want it to be their idea, right? I can pose the question, but when I pose the question, I make it about them. Does it make sense if we do this? Does it make sense for us to meet again? Would you enjoy if I could construct a five bullet point outline of exactly how I believe we could solve your problem or we could overcome the challenge that you're dealing with? Does it make sense for us to get together again and discuss that, right? Make it about them as much as anything else, but always book a meeting from a meeting, a BAM-FAM. Never forget that. Don't get out of somebody's sight. The worst thing you could possibly do as an entrepreneur is say, you know what, man, it's been a great meeting. Thanks for hanging out for a little bit. I've got some takeaways. I'm going to go do a little research and then I'll get back with you. You know what that means? You will never see them again. Listen, here's what happens in the follow-up process if you set it up in that way, saying, I'll give you a call. We'll set something up in the future. I'll get back to you a later time. What happens is this: they're busy, you're busy. You forget about it for a few days. All the warm, fuzzy feelings that were generated when you were together start to dissipate over time. And what happens is they fill their mind with all the reasons why they don't need you rather than all the reasons why they do. So I like to follow up within 24 to 48 hours, if at all possible, because I want to continue to build on that relationship and that excitement. So, timing is critical. The next thing is this, is that if you're always booking a meeting from a meeting, right, that means that you want to be able to demonstrate value for them so that there's a reason for them to meet again. If you've done a really terrible job during your conversation about setting you up as the expert that they're looking for, then there's not a real need for them to get together. You've heard the expression, the fortune is in the follow-up. It's absolutely true. Don't get good at all of the advanced stuff. Don't get good at lead generation. Don't get good at contacting and inviting. Don't get good at giving presentations. Don't get good at even creating compelling reasons why they need what you've got, and then blow it on the follow-up, because all of that time, energy, and effort and skill set will be wasted. Now we're on number 6. Adapt or just flat get left behind. I can't even tell you how many times over the years I've had to reinvent myself. And in the process of reinvention, wow, I've learned some stuff. But I've always had a baseline of skill set that I developed and a baseline of experience that has helped me in any of my reinventions. I'm not saying that you create drastic measures to become someone other than who you are. You're going to continue to keep your eye on the prize. You're going to continue to consistently move forward to the success that you want to realize. But along the way, you may need to deviate a little bit in your approach, in your product offering, in your sales and marketing strategies, so that whatever it is that you you are marketing or selling or creating in your business gets traction in the marketplace. That's why we split test everything, because sometimes we just don't know what the public is really going to want. And the best way to ask them is split test it. Try this, see if that message resonates. Try this, see if that message resonates. And if that doesn't work, then try something else and something else and something else. But adapt and make sure that you lean into what's going on in the marketplace. And the best way to do it, like I said before, is ask your customers through split testing. The other thing, and I hinted at this earlier on, I just got to tell you, the next point on our discussion is embrace the no. Embrace the no. I mean, a no today is not a no forever. It just means not now. That really is the philosophy that I've adopted over my career. Because if I want to market something, sell something, achieve something, create something, whatever setbacks that I have in the process of doing that, the no's that I get along the way, I know that they just lead me closer and closer to the yeses, because I'm figuring things out. I'm understanding the process. When it comes to sales and marketing, listen, I get a lot of no's. I mean, I've had doggone many no's over my career. I can't even count them or remember them. Nor would I want to lock that in. Instead, what I do is I just simply focus on the yeses. But if you put a dollar volume associated with what you do, I mean, you know, we've had products in the past where our salespeople literally made $10,000 in commission. $10,000 in commission. And what we found over time is that the average ones could make 100 sales calls and they could close a deal. That's still a $10,000 commission. That's $100 for every single sales call. In other words, if 99 of them say no, you're averaging better than $100 per no. I want you to think about it this way, just to kind of reframe it, develop a reassociation about the no's, is that whatever you're marketing, whatever you're selling, leads you to a yes, which has a financial reward. Think about all of those no's as a part of that process. So I used to tell my salespeople all the time, I said, listen, every no is going to make you $100. Every single no is going to make you $100. So how many of those no's would you like to go out there and acquire if every one of them meant $100, $100, $100, $100? And every time they say, well, man, I'll take $100 for a no. Start paying me for no's. $100 a no, I'm your guy. The reality is they're making $100 a no, even if it takes them 100 no's to finally get to a yes, if it means a $10,000 commission. Reframe it in your mind so that you always embrace the no's, because they lead you to the yeses. And again, let me just emphasize this. A no today is not a no forever. It just means not now. In business and entrepreneurship, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So run it well. All right, let's go with number 8. Number 8, don't sell products, solve problems. Don't sell products, solve problems. That's one of the best things you can learn as an entrepreneur. If your product is not getting traction in the marketplace, it's not a lot of times because you haven't got a great vision of what it can be in the future. It's generally the reality of how individuals are perceiving it. If they don't perceive your product, your service, your idea as the solution to their problem, they're not going to spend money on it. They're not going to spend time and resources on it. And you're going to be standing there wanting, rather than high-fiving, because of the success that you're enjoying. Product problems, many times, can be shifted and adjusted with the right messaging, right? So that individuals can see that this will indeed solve their problem. And if you've got a product that after you've really broken it down and say, well, I'm not sure this product, this service, or this idea is going to solve my client's problems, then you got the wrong product. You absolutely do. So focus on those things that are going to make the biggest difference in your client's world. Make the biggest difference in your customers, business. And as you do, you solve their problem, they'll spend about anything to go and get that fixed. Remember this, the pain of the problem needs to be overcome by the solution that's offered, because individuals will pay any amount to solve the problem as long as the pain is greater than what it's going to cost them to solve the problem. So lean into that heavily. All right, number 9. Man, we're almost getting to the end of our 10 here, but number 9 is this. is that constantly be learning, always keep learning. Turn your automobile into a university on wheels. As you're going between calls, you're going between appointments, shut off talk radio, shut off the music, shut off whatever you've got, and invest in yourself so that you are just immersed in personal development, in sales training, business training, entrepreneurship. Listen to the podcasts that are out there, gather as much content and information as you possibly can. Create a mastermind of the great authors of the world. I mean, that's one of the simplest ways for you to really develop a community of individuals you want to spend time with, is just get your Audible account, loaded up with all of the great books and great authors so that you can learn and progress as you continue to go along. The biggest thing is, of course, that never-ending desire to learn, to grow, and to progress, and use every opportunity to do it. That's another reason why listening skills are so important, because you can learn from everyone. You can even learn amazing lessons from people you don't agree with or people you don't like, but always keep learning. And that knowledge that you gain, I'm here to tell you, pays big, big dividends. Because if you think about it in terms of real estate, the most valuable real estate you will ever invest in is the 6 inches between your ears. And that return on investment can be realized over and over and over again. Don't ever neglect the opportunity to learn, be on purpose, be targeted, get rid of the distractions, shut off the negative news, and focus on you becoming your very best self. All right, last but not least, number 10. We've made it to number 10. Number 10 is all about authenticity. Be authentic. I've watched some great presenters, some great speakers, some great salespeople, go out there and the minute they start into their pitch, the minute they start into their discussion, their presentation, they have a tendency to put on their sales voice. They put on their acting voice. They put on their presentation voice. And they may be good at what they do, but they'll never be amazing at what they do until they just learn to connect with the audience and have a conversation, right? People are looking for authentic conversations, authentic individuals to do business with. It's one of the things that makes you likable and trustworthy. You know the big three: know, like, and trust, right? Authenticity plays a very important role in that. And I'll share with you just a little bit of information. You may have heard this before, because it was the Spain study of emotion. It was put together in Germany years ago, but it was fantastic because what the scientists did, the researchers did, is they took individual subjects and they put them into what's called a Faraday cage. A Faraday cage is a device that is completely devoid of any frequency whatsoever. I mean, you're not getting TV frequencies in there, you're not getting 5G, 4G, microwave, nothing. And the frequency is completely devoid. So then they wired them all up with all of these probes and sensors. And then they started to ask them questions that would evoke certain emotions. Here's what they found. Over time, what they learned is that each emotion evoked actually has a frequency attached to it. And that frequency transfers to other individuals, right? So you become the transmitter of that frequency, but the people that you want to be in business with, that you want to develop relationships with, that you want to sell your product, service, or idea to, they become the receiver of that frequency. And if that frequency is based on fear, it's based on anxiety, it's based on resentment, it's based on greed, it's based on anger, it's based on anything outside of your best authentic self, they feel it, they sense it. And here's another thing you got to understand. The limbic system is kind of a primitive, area of the mind. Sometimes we refer to it as your subconscious. Your conscious mind creates your future subconscious. And when your subconscious locks in a life experience, when it locks in, an idea or a thought, and then later in life, you have some sort of an experience that the subconscious, doesn't know how to speak to the conscious mind other than this. It does it through feeling. It actually will stir up. It'll send a signal down to your stomach, which actually churns up stomach acids. And it's the reason why we refer to it as a gut feeling. I have a gut feeling about that person. I have a gut feeling about that company. I have a gut feeling about this product, because it draws your life experience forward and it'll give you a feeling as to whether or not you should run or embrace. Authenticity is what overcomes any any protective measure on the mind to try to persuade your prospect, your customer, your business partner from running to the door rather than embracing you. If you are not authentic, then they will run. So that energy and that emotion is transferred. And that's why I say, be your best self. Be genuine, be authentic. And remember this, you are selling a product, a service, or an idea. If you are an entrepreneur who is doing that, here's what you've got to remember. If you don't believe in what you're selling, if your words don't match your conviction and your belief, then that energy will transfer and it's going to push people away, and it'll be the #1 cause of failure in your business. So you better believe in what you're selling. You better believe in what you're creating. And you better be genuine and authentic to that message. And if you are, you will absolutely crush it over time. Man, I wish you guys the best. I hope our time together has been beneficial to you. That's the only reason why I really designed this. Top 10, some of the lessons I've learned over time. I hope that those lessons can not only influence you, impact you, but they can help you moving forward so that you can realize the success that you're looking for as you become your very best self.